a royal gathering in London later this morning, but Wills and Kate aren't invited. Instead, it's the self-titled kings, queens and hangers-on from the world's micronations. They're small model countries and groups of people seeking sovereignty from governmental power. George Cruikshank, for example, is the Emperor George II, head of Australia's Empire of Atlantium. And Carolyn I is from the Royal Republic of Ladonia in Sweden. I first asked Emperor George II to explain to me what this is all about.
What this is all about is the PoliNation Second International Conference on Micronations. And micronations are effectively any entity which purports to be or has the appearance of being a sovereign state, but which is not, in fact, so. So I was involved 2 years ago with an academic from the Department of Sociology at Macquarie University in Sydney, Dr. Judy Lattis, in holding the first such conference, which took place in Sydney and received quite a lot of media attention. We then decided to have a much bigger and better and much more internationally flavoured event, and we thought that London was the appropriate place to bring that. So we're holding it tomorrow at Chelsea Old Town Hall from 8:30.
An emperor needs an empire, though.
Oh, indeed, and I've got an extensive one. It's twice the size of the Vatican. The Empire of Atlantium is essentially a non-territorial entity which has been established for nearly 32 years in Australia. We were founded in Sydney back in 1981, myself and my two cousins, having a fairly utopian view of the world back then, which has subsequently become coloured by reality as we've grown into adulthood.
And where exactly is Atlantium in Australia?
Atlantium's headquarters is about 300 kilometres southwest of Sydney, a rural district. It occupies an area of about 200 acres, or 0.76 of a square kilometre, 5-kilometre boundary with our near neighbour, Australia. And that's where our capital, Aurora and Concordia, are located, and where our commemorative monuments are, where we do our flag raisings and ceremonials, and eventually my coronation, which hopefully will happen next year.
I'm pleased to say that we also have with us Queen Carolyn I of the Royal Republic of Ladonia, which is in Sweden. Your Royal Highness, I always thought it was Queen Sylvia of Sweden.
Well, there is a Queen Sylvia of Sweden, but I'm the Queen of Ladonia, which is on the Kullaberg Peninsula in southern Sweden, in Skåne.
Skåne, as you guys say, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely, Skåne.
Yeah. Oh, so do we have His Royal Highness with us?
Actually, this is our Minister of Art and Jump, Fredrik Axwik.
Minister of Art and Junk.
Yes.
Surely
Jump.
there is...
Jump.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jump.
Hop.
Yeah, sorry.
Not junk.
I'm sorry. I apologise. Art and jump. What is art and jump? The jump part. What does that constitute of?
Well, that constitutes of. I started a performance a couple of years back, and I do hop arts into water as a protest against the order of things. So I was appointed the jump as well as my first ministry.
Sounds like a lot of fun, this Republic of Ladonia. Does Sweden really have space for more than one queen?
Well, they don't really have much of a choice in the matter. We've been occupying that part of the peninsula for, since 1980 was when Lars Vilks started building the art sculptures that led to the Declaration of Sovereignty. There was a long, protracted court battle where the authorities tried to force him to take the sculptures down, and he fought against them. And eventually, they decided they couldn't force him to remove them. And because they can't enforce the law on what they deem to be their own soil, it's not their soil. We control it. So Lars declared it's a sovereign nation, and it is.
Yeah, Lars Vilks that you talk about is the controversial Swedish artist who was embroiled in that controversy about cartoons depicting the Prophet Muhammad.
Yes.
He's already controversial, as the case may be. I just wonder if this isn't a way of sticking it at the Swedish state to create this free start, as you guys would say. Are you just in opposition to your great King Carl Gustav and the Queen Drottning Sylvia?
No, we really like them, and I mean, we sent them a note, a letter, and telling them thank you, but now we're going our own way. So, I mean, there's no hard feelings, really.
Well, and Ladonia predates the Muhammad controversy.
Yeah, by far.
By several years.
Just back to Emperor George II of Atlantium. Is Australia not a republic?
Australia, depending on who you ask, some people believe it to be a form of crowned republic. My personal view on the matter is that so long as we have the British monarch's head on our currency, then that is not the case. Atlantium, on the other hand, despite being an empire with an emperor, is actually the world's first and only imperial republic. I'm actually elected to my role, albeit for life, and when I cease to be emperor via natural or other means, I'll be replaced from amongst a meritocratic appointed nobility who hold their positions based on merit, but for life only. We don't have an inherited peerage as you do in Britain. So all of the citizens of Atlantium can aspire to leadership of the state, and so therefore we are a real crowned republic, unlike our near neighbour Australia.
And when all you guys get together for this second international conference on micronations, what do you talk about?
Well, we've got academics from Australia, from the UK, from across continental Europe and North America who are basically looking at the micronation phenomenon, which has been a recurrent phenomenon in Western-style liberal democracies since about the beginning of the 19th century. And so they're exploring it from a historical context, from a socio-political context, and from the context of, in some cases, performance art and enduring artistic endeavour. So micronations cover a very broad spectrum of typologies, and some of them are essentially art projects and others are political projects, and many of them fall on a spectrum somewhere in the middle. And
Queen Carolyn, do you go to the conference in full regalia, in your royal robes and crown and so on?
You know, I thought that might be a little awkward riding the tube in full regalia, so I've opted for a lovely dress that I picked up from the store prior to departing, and I will bring the crown and the tiara, and I might put them on for photographs, but I didn't want to cause a scene and walk around London in a ball gown.
Yeah, Emperor George, that is a point, isn't it? An emperor without all the regalia looks like a short, fat French guy, doesn't he?
Well, a Republican emperor like me wears a couple of medals, a piece of imperial regalia, and a very stylish sash, along with a morning suit. So I can actually ride the tube in my regalia, and I will be doing that. And my colleagues and the delegates of the convention will be attending a dinner in King's Cross tomorrow evening in our regalia, so people should keep an eye out for us.
Serious note, guys, why do you do it, though? It's a bit of fun at the end of the day, I understand that, but if you've got so much time on your hands...
Well, ultimately, I think because micronations tend to be created by people with a fairly well-developed intellectual view of the world and also a degree of time and perhaps financial resources available to them, yes, that is part of it. But certainly, I can only speak for myself, part of what I do is based very much on a desire to leave the world a better place than I entered it. And I've chosen a somewhat unorthodox means of going about that, but I don't think that makes it any less a valuable contribution to society and the world.
And what about you, Queen Carolyn? Why do you do it? Det måste finnas bättre saker att göra I Sverige. Till och med I Skåne kan jag tänka mig.
He's actually speaking Swedish here, so I have to translate. Can you say that again?
I've forgotten it. No, on a serious note, though, why do you do it?
Yeah.
I'm so embarrassed that I don't speak Swedish.
Well, you speak...
Hang on. How does this work now? I know Sweden has a long and inglorious history of dragging kings and queens from other countries. The current one's Bernadotte, isn't it? It's a French guy. But yeah, you've got to speak the language. You've got to at least speak...
He didn't speak Swedish. The whole Sweden learned to speak French instead.
Yeah. But
well, you don't really need it with Google Translate these days.
But Carolyn, where are you from then, if not from Sweden?
I'm from Chicago.
Hang on, Sweden has now got... This sounds even more ridiculous. No, well, go on. Yeah. Tell us, why do you do it? Why do you do it?
A German queen
German.
And a French king.
Don't tell me that Britain has got a German queen, whatever you do.
Well, we have citizens, 16,000 citizens from all over the world that participate in our government, and we actually did have a Swedish queen prior to me. I'm the second queen. She was removed from the throne by the cabinet last year, I believe late May, early June, and I was proclaimed queen on June 2nd of 2011. That's right. Because then, yeah, and then last September, I traveled to Sweden for the coronation. So I personally, why am I queen? It's not because I decided that I wanted to be. I was a minister in the cabinet prior to this for many, many years. And when they needed to replace the queen, I was nominated. There was another minister who was nominated, and there was a vote, and I won. They said, "Hey, do you want to wear this crown?" And I, being a girl, said, "Well, yeah." And that's how I became queen.
You are the prom queen of Ladonia.
I like to think I'm slightly more qualified than a prom queen.
Oh,
but,
okay. It's just when you said, "Oh, I'm a girl, the crown."
I was in political science in college, and I was very interested in the nation-forming aspects of the micronational process. So that's originally why I became involved.
Yeah, that's Queen Carolyn I of the Royal Republic of Ladonia. We also heard from Emperor George II, head of Australia's Empire of Atlantium.